Now this is the Orange County Sheriff's Department here. So this is a multi-jurisdictional event here tonight. We've had CHP, we've had Fullerton Police, we've had Seal Beach Police.
Appreciate you. Honestly, thank you guys.
Everything under the sun. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the face of the police state in America. Under the auspices of protecting free speech. The long-term goal is to disarm the American people, and these will be the first ones marched off to do so. The local law enforcement are the ones that will be marched off against the American people to disarm us. When these false flags continue to be run with the help of the media, these are the people, good, hard-working men and women who are forced to follow orders, will disregard the Second Amendment. The Founding Fathers never envisioned a country totally disarmed and ruled by tyrants. And we were warned. We were warned hundreds of years ago, as it was enshrined in the documents. The founding documents, the living, breathing documents that formed and shaped the only free society that ever existed in this world. On the campus of this multicultural mind control institution called the Cal State University, a lot of the balkanizing indoctrination, race baiting, and divisive ethnic studies has turned the American people against each other. And the only real winners here are those that serve the power structure. About 3 weeks ago, the Fullerton City Council put on their consent calendar the purchase of 150 semi-automatic rifles. On the consent calendar, not on the general business section of the City Council agenda, so there was no discussion of the Fullerton Police Department acquiring $250,000 worth of semi-automatic rifles with very high-end scopes with night vision. Now this is already in addition to the 150 M16s that the Fullerton Police Department had procured from the military surplus program about 10 years ago under Pat McKinley. So at this point, the Fullerton Police Department has 300 machine guns. How many do the people of Fullerton have? We don't know. It's a fine balance with law enforcement and the Second Amendment, ladies and gentlemen. And we're witnessing the beginning of the end of all of that. If the media runs enough false flags, stages enough fake shootings, and convinces the American people that they can no longer own or possess firearms, we are defenseless against this entity called the federal government and its local jurisdictional agencies called law enforcement.
All we'll have is rocks to throw back.
All we will have is like the Palestinians have, rocks and bottles. We're already in a situation where they control the electricity. We're already in a situation where they control the water, where they control the food supply. They control the monetary system. And as it's been wisely stated by political thugs throughout millennia, political power comes out of the barrel of a gun. The government knows that. You look at some of the firepower here and some of the people toting it. This is a display of force. This is a display of force designed to intimidate. This is a display of force that is on display for everyone to see and for everyone to fear. Thank goodness this is a good community with good people that aren't prone or inclined to violence. Thank goodness Fullerton is a community that cares about its residents and about the well-being of its citizens. And fortunately, as evidenced by the behavior of this community in the aftermath and wake of the murder of Kelly Thomas, its citizens are capable of showing great restraint. Let's just hope here tonight that takes no departure from the norm in this community.
I don't know, honestly, do people just like scream at each other?
This is a rather odd and peculiar position for law enforcement to be taking with their hands on the triggers when there's no evidence or any inkling of any unrest or unruliness. This is an offensive position that's being taken by law enforcement. This is a university where minds come together and exchange ideas, where ideas are expressed freely, and dissent is not to be quelled but to be encouraged. This is an institution of higher learning. But one has to question how much freedom will be allowed to continue in this realm of academia in light of how the federal government continues to move against the American people. It's a very fine balance, ladies and gentlemen. And we're living in a day where it teeters. The only thing left to keep this a free country is our right to bear arms, folks. And if that is taken away, these forces will move to oppress, quite possibly to forcibly relocate, to forcibly vaccinate, to forcibly medicate, to confiscate property, to separate loved ones, to remove children, as is done in all countries where the population has been disarmed. Once again, this is the Orange County Sheriffs, ladies and gentlemen, engaging in crowd control. Multi-jurisdictional operation here tonight. Fullerton PD, Orange County Sheriff, Seal Beach Police Department, California Highway Patrol. Anaheim's got a copter in the sky. A little bit of everything. Definitely a show of force in the OC tonight. Definitely a show of force. Posse Comitatus was a law that was given to the American people to keep the military from being used against the citizenry. That law is gone. What we have now in these events is multi-jurisdictional participation in joint training exercises. I happen to work near the Los Alamitos Naval Air Station, and it's not uncommon to see sheriffs' helicopters taken off out of their Coast Guard. You'll see helicopters flying out of there with no numbers on them, all black. CIA stuff running in and out of there. So they've really blurred the lines between the military and the police. And we're starting to see that now. We're starting to see that in everyday life in America. This is becoming a police state. The use of the military against civilians was strictly prohibited by our founding fathers and written into the law. And there's a reason it was written into the law, because despotic regimes throughout history have used the military to suppress and exterminate their own people. 250 million people in the 20th century were murdered by their own governments. And that was only accomplished after those people were disarmed and reduced to a mere peasantry status. That's happening in the United States. The United States is still under the Bretton Woods Agreement, to where the US dollar is pegged to the oil trade. That's the reason why you can get a sack of beans in the United States for a $5 bill. In the rest of the world, it takes a sack of beans to get a sack of rice. Once the American currency, the dollar, is no longer pegged to the oil trade, the United States economy will collapse. That is an inevitability, ladies and gentlemen. That is an imminent economic reality of what we face. Once that takes place, we will be reduced to mere peasantry. Once the economy does go in that direction, one of the first things that will happen is anarchy will ensue. Gun confiscation will immediately follow, possibly forced relocation. There are FEMA facilities built all over the United States. Back in 1984, under Rex 84 at Operation Garden Plot, these have been constructed. There are plans for continuity of government. Way back when, during the Iran-Contra hearings, that was discussed in the event of a national emergency when they suspend the Constitution. There are plans to forcibly relocate Americans in the event of a biological outbreak, insurrection, economic collapse, even an alien invasion. So there are contingency plans to forcibly relocate us. There are plans right now under the Model State Emergency Health Powers Act to forcibly vaccinate us and to perform medical procedures on us. Once again, none of these things can take place if the people are armed and aware. The plan is to do away with both of those. We're here on a college campus right now, and I do believe that the majority of the people on this campus, unbeknownst to them, that this country is heading in that direction. This information is not taught to students, or real history is not taught to students, and I think a lot of these young people on this campus don't believe that these realities could actually happen in their lifetime. Lone protester breaking the rules, wearing a mask here. Not a good idea when it was explicitly prohibited. So far this has been peaceful. I believe now we have 2 helicopters up here. CHP in Anaheim, broadcasting on 123.025 megahertz if you want to listen to them on the scanner. Don't forget, November 4th is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. That's the day that the Antifa rallies are to take place. This is just a little warm-up for that. All departments across the country are forcing their officers and personnel to work that day. I don't believe anybody's getting a day off because they're expecting something. This is just a little warm-up. It's kind of like spring training, I guess. But Antifa is a lot different than these people because Antifa wears masks. They hide their identity. They're violent. And they call for armed insurrection. These people here at this college are just people that just want to express their opinion. And they just want to have their views heard or listen to the opposing sides air their views. I'm going to shut the camera off for another minute here because right now, just a little bit of time to take a break from filming. We'll get back to this shortly.